I'm Damien, and I'm here to talk about leverage, margin, and lot size, and how it accounts to how we trade US 30. People talk about leverage, margin percentage. What does that look like? How does that work? How does that margin work, right? Like we all have different brokers, and different brokers have different margins. I like to see the numbers, and I like to see how the numbers move in relation to each other. And I think a lot of people, visually that helps. So I put together a little bit of a spreadsheet so that I can sort of show everybody how this works. Let's move over to that here. I think it's going to really help us understand what we're doing when we're trading, how to manage our leverage, how to manage hedges. Like, it's really specific when we get into a hedge. It applies the actual amount of risk we're taking in our account. That's a very important thing. The spreadsheet's got a bunch of stuff on here, but let's just look at the top. First column's going to have our lot size. That's what we put into MT4, okay? That's our lot size. We put in MT4. We enter in lot size 0.01. But basically, this 0.01 over here equals to 0.01 of 100. So 0.01 of 100 would be what? A dollar, right? We're trading $1 out of this contract. It's 0.01. Market price is going to be the market price that the indice you're in. This happens to be doing a demo of US 30. So that's 26,111.21. The broker that I happen to be using, making an example of here, has a 200 to 1 leverage. And then they got a margin rate of 0.5. Margin used, if you go and you look on MT4, right, it's showing a free margin of 21.70 or 27.15 here, right? So that's our free margin. So when we enter a trade, you'll see this actually comes up and it'll say margin used, right? So that's what this column is, margin used. You'll see that in MT4. This is just open and close. So I did some sample trades here with different margins, different leverage. So, but they're all the same number, right? We opened at 26,101.74. We closed the trade 26,111.21. We went up 9.47 pips, which is a dollar pip equals $9.47. That's what you should see in your profit line in your MT4, right? How did I find these numbers? How did I make this work? In order to figure them out, we got to look at MT4. So let's go over here. This is MT4, okay? I go here, I right click on the US 30. Now I know you can't see the window. You're gonna hit what's called specification. So now it's gonna open up this window here, okay? Profit calculation mode and margin calculation mode. These are important. This is CFD, okay? It's contract for difference. But keep in mind, if you look at a Forex pair, it's not gonna say CFD here. It's gonna say Forex. It uses different formulas. So today we're just talking about contract for difference because this video is specifically targeted to indices. The contract size is $100. We're doing CFD. It's a 0.5% for the margin. Now what we can do here is we can go and we can look at the blue formula column here, basically your lot size, column A, times your contract size, column B, times the market price, which is column C, times the margin rate, which is margin percentage. And then that is what gets us this 130.56, okay? Now, to figure out what our profit is, the formula for profit is our close price minus the open price times contract size, 100, times lots, 0.01, is what gets us to our profit of $9.47 over here. If we go over here, we can see that that was the 200 to 1 leverage. So like a broker like Hugo's Way would be 200 to 1 for indices. You're going to sign up under it. You're going to pick 500 to 1, but you're only going to get 200 to 1 on indices because indices are a different contract. It's a different risk for the broker. Their liquidity partner is going to be, dictating that back to them. So you can get 100 to 1, and this is available with Black Bull or Fusion Markets. If you go into MT4, you go to US 30, and you go look at this specification, right? You're going to know what you've got because it's going to say it's going to say 0.5% under margin percentage, and that's directly tied to your leverage. With a 1%, so 100 to 1, right? Now, it's different. When I went and I looked at the minimum lot size, it's a 1 instead of a 0.01 like it was on the other. But the contract size is only a dollar. A 1 lot here and a 0.01 here basically end up being the same. So just because it doesn't let you do a 0.01 lot doesn't mean that you're going to be trading at a disadvantage. If they've got a 1 lot size and then this is equal to 0.01 and 100. The difference here is that with these brokers, you've got 100 to 1 leverage. So you got a 1%. As you can see here, double the amount of margin taken out of your margin pool, let's call it, right? $261 here now. So to move that 1 pip, now you're having to use up twice as much margin as you would have if you had a broker that had 200 to 1. You can start to see this relationship. The advantage of using this broker over this broker, it's not the lot size, it's not the fact that you've got a 0.01 here, so you're better off. Because you're actually exactly the same. You have to go in and look at the contract size, right? We're going to go look here, right? Contract size is 100 here. with a 0.05 margin percentage, and your minimum volume is 0.01 of a lot. And if we go down here, we've got a broker out there that's letting us do 0.01 of a 10 lot, which means 10 cents a pip, right? Because over here, if we do a 0.1 lot here, right, then it'd be $1 a pip. Here we can do it, we can go even smaller, right? We can do 10 cents a pip, but it's 50 to 1 leverage. That's 2%. So let's just look at it, $1 per pip per $1,000 in your account. So if we're going to compare apples to apples, we're comparing these lines here. So if we have a broker that's given us the ability to do a 0.01, which they do down there, but let's just look at it in the lowest possible denominator to compare it to the other guys, right? If we do a 0.01, right, to get us to $1 a pip at a 50 to 1 leverage, that's $522 of margin being used. So that's a lot of margin being used up and tied up out of our accounts to make this happen. So just consider how that works when you're thinking about it. I think there's a lot to be said for, having a bigger account and being able to, trade within your abilities within, a higher leverage, because you can use up a lot less of your margin in order to do so. We're trying to stay at 1% of our account in lot size per trade. $1 a pip per 1,000 in our account puts us at roughly a 1% of our account being risked. So and the reason we're so small is because this could move so far. If we went, if it took off 100 pips in the wrong direction, it's $100, boom, per 1,000, right? So that's 10% of your account now that's tied up in that drawdown. So this is why we stick to small numbers on that, right? For risk against the rest of the account. We can absorb a little bit of that drawdown, right? We don't want to be in those positions, right? When we start getting down to 150% of our margin and we're in heavy drawdown, we want to protect that account. So we take a trade in the opposite direction, it cancels it out, it locks in our loss there. It locks in, right? So it's saying, okay, yes, I'm, $200 backwards right now in this hedge, but now that margin's all back. Now I have the full margin to be able to trade with on the outside of that trade. And that's what allows us to slowly chip away at that $200, right? If we make, just for example, if we get 20 pip trades, we're making $20 for every 20 pips we did. How many trades would you have to do to get that $200 to be $200 back in your account, making up for that $200 delta for when you close those two trades, right? 10 trades. You need 10 $20 trades and you've made up the difference. That's where the power of that hedge comes in. Yeah, you got to you got to look at it, but you just got to manage it, right? It gets to a certain point, you lock it in and you ride. But the thing is, you got to be careful. You either got to get enough money in your account to break even. So when you close those two, you break even, you still maintain the balance you had when you entered the hedge, or you continue on trading and keep going and bank it up even more. And then that way, when you close the hedge, you're good. The thing you have to watch out for is that if you have a $200 delta, but one of the, that loss is bigger than the profit on the hedge, you got to make sure that when you're closing those hedges, that your account is bigger than the value of one of those losses. Because if you take out a loss too quickly, you could kill out it could take you right out. If you want to select a broker with a higher margin, a higher leverage, if you want to be doing this, because if you've got not enough leverage, it's going to chew up more of your margin and make it that much harder. You're going to have to hedge sooner. And then once you're hedged, you're not going to have enough margin left to be able to trade on the outside to actually effectively bring the money back in. So, I really hope you guys, enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and make some more videos about different topics like this. So I'd be interested in your thoughts. Post it in the comments at the bottom. Give it a like if you liked what you saw. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you later.